Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I cover nostalgic, obscure, otherwise strange content. Being that we're in September, it's spooky season, I've been really leaning into the whole, Halloween content lately. And last Halloween season, I did a video on the classic Disney Channel original movie, Halloweentown. And I realized I never covered any of the sequels, so what a better time to do that than now. So today, we are talking about Halloweentown II, Kalabar's Revenge. I don't know why I thought I was gonna pronounce that wrong. I've just watched this movie earlier this morning. I always get so anxious that I'm gonna say things wrong in these videos, which I do all the time. I mispronounce things constantly. Anyway, let's just jump into the video. I would give you a rundown on the first Halloweentown so that you're not lost, but I will have my video that I did of the first movie last year linked in the description box, and also the main character Marnie gives us a rundown in the first couple minutes of the movie. So
all had to join together to defeat Kalabar, an evil warlock who's had a thing for my mother since they were teenagers.
Don't you just hate it when evil warlocks have a thing for your mom? Mom's got a date with a vampire all over again.
Creatures of different sizes, some of them downright weird.
Hey, don't call them weird. You're the outlier in town, Marnie. You're the only human.
Grandma decided to leave her comfy house and live with our family in the mortal world.
Because the grandmother decided to stay with the family in the human world for a year, it is now the next Halloween after the previous movie, and it's Halloween night, and Grandma Aggie is really leaning into the whole festivities.
I don't think this is a very good idea. Oh, fiddle.
I like to think that when Aggie says fiddle, it's her way of not saying fuck, because this is a Disney Channel movie.
Now you're gonna corrupt all the children in the neighborhood.
But anyway, the mom, Aggie's daughter, is still pretty against the whole Halloween thing, which is weird because I kind of assumed that it was somewhat resolved at the end of the first movie, but anyway.
Someone has to take my place as head of the Cromwell line.
Marnie, being the oldest, is going to be the family witch. I forget if it's like a Wizards of Waverly Place situation where only one of them keeps their powers, but I do know that the girl that plays the littlest sister has a TikTok account where she constantly makes TikToks about how her character was obviously the stronger witch, which she obviously is, so, you know.
I'll take Grandma.
But Sophie, the littlest sister, she goes to calm down the grandmother while Marnie goes to calm down their mom because they've kind of gotten into a fight. And the grandmother is so homesick for Halloweentown that she's just spying on all of her neighbors with her crystal ball.
He's the one who steals the socks?
Okay, so this part is going to end up being very important later. This character is a junk magnet. So he lives in Halloweentown and every lost thing from the human world just ends up in his house.
Everything in the universe that gets lost, they all end up in Gort's front yard.
We'll come back to that. So Sophie suggests that she goes home because every night on Halloween, they get to cross through the portal between the human world and Halloweentown, and she's like, nah.
Going back for just a few hours is harder than not going back at all.
But that doesn't make sense because time moves way slower in Halloweentown, right? Yeah, so even a few hours there would be at least a week, I think. Not caught up on the conversion, but something like that. But they leave and magically hide the magic door to her magic bedroom. Meanwhile, the mother's angrily cutting vegetables like, "Meh, I hate Halloween."
I'm a witch. I can't just not be.
Isn't it kind of strange that since she's a witch, she dresses up as a witch for Halloween? Halloween's fun because you get to dress up as something else. Oh yeah, and then this guy and his dad, who they don't know, they've never met, just invited themselves to their Halloween house party, and they just walk in with tubs of sherbet and are like,
"Dad, I found him."
"Oh yeah, Dad, I found him." And they're like, "Who are you?"
If all witches were as pretty as you, they'd have a better reputation.
So Marnie knows nothing about this guy, but she's like, "He's pretty, so I like him." And he's like, "You wanna give me a tour of your house, stranger that I just met?"
You want to give me a tour?
Meanwhile, Dylan, who's the middle kid, he's striking out with all the girls. It's very sad.
Most disgusting costume wins a prize after the unmasking at midnight.
Might that prize be a kiss?
No, that's disgusting.
Good try, buddy. You got out there. That's the important thing. So Marnie shows this guy her room, and he's like, "Wow, your room is boring as hell."
Well, you strike me as unconventional, but in a good way.
Odd pickup line, but it works because she's like, "Oh, you want to see weird? Check out my grandma's secret room that we're not supposed to tell anybody about. But since you are a stranger that I literally met 2 seconds ago, you can come in."
She's very into the whole witch thing.
Play it cool, Marnie.
Hair of werewolf. This must not be easy to get.
It wasn't, believe.
I said play it cool.
See, there are common spells that every witch knows.
God, if Marnie is this quick to almost slip up and tell a random person about the family secret of them all being witches, you think somebody would have found out their secret by now. They've been at this for a year.
Is that supposed to be a book of spells?
No.
So the guy wants to look at the grandmother's spell book, and Marnie is not subtle about how much she doesn't want that to happen, and then she turns her back on him, and the guy just like shrinks it down and puts it in his pocket. Apparently shoplifting is really easy if you're a witch. Hopefully no witches use their powers to commit crimes, but you know what I mean.
But I hear there's this really big costume party at the high school.
So he invites Marnie to the costume party at the high school later that night.
Let's see if you went with a student who is enrolled.
He doesn't even go to her school, and he invites her to her school's party. The audacity.
Meeting you is everything I hoped it would be.
Then you ready for a plot twist that's not at all twisty? It's a straight line. That's how much of a plot twist this is. Guy's an evil witch, or warlock, whatever. And he's opening up the portal to Halloweentown, so, you know, none of this is going to be good.
There's nothing in there. I guess that is all.
So the grandmother realizes that her magic Mary Poppins bag that's just supposed to have, like, endless space is now just a regular bag, and so she realizes that her magic is wearing off. Whoa, Tascam almost fell out of its bag.
Just can't run out is connected to my house.
So the kids and the grandmother realize that they need to go back to Halloweentown to make sure that everything's okay, because if the magic is running out, then something's probably wrong with the town.
Mom already put the big foot down. None of us can go.
I'll get my coat.
And here I thought we were going to avoid the annual family meltdown.
Your family only melts down once a year? Lucky.
Marnie's going to be staying with me for a whole year after she gets out of high school.
So this is the real conflict of this movie. You know, Marnie has to choose between Halloweentown and the real world constantly. She's supposed to go back to Halloweentown for a whole year to train with the grandmother after she graduates, which the mom doesn't want her to do.
If you go to Halloweentown for a year, that's going to become your life. You're going to be a stranger in this world after that.
Which I don't understand, because I guess it's kind of like wizard college, right? It should be normal. So the grandmother decides to take Marnie with her to Halloweentown, but they don't let Sophie, the youngest, go, which again, unfair, because she's clearly the more powerful witch. And she leaves Dylan one of these, like, skull walkie-talkies. They're called headphones. Clever, right?
Except they work like magic. Except they work like magic.
Oh!
They're scary as hell. So they walk out into this very smoky street and try to call the bus to Halloweentown, and it doesn't show up. But the two of them manage to summon the portal up manually, I guess, and so they scurry off to Halloweentown. Meanwhile, the mom is kind of hitting it off with Sherbet Dad.
Would you consider being my date for the costume party?
At the high school?
Oh, I'm sure they can always use more chaperones.
Ooh, chaperoning a bunch of horny teenagers. Romantic. And then he bumps into Dylan, and then apparently, is he stealing frogs? Where's the riveting coming from?
Same to you.
But Dylan takes it in stride. He's just like, whatever, man. So they run through the portal, and everything is gray and boring. You know what it kind of looks like? Did anybody play Toontown? You know when, like, the cogs take over buildings, and then, like, if they take over too many buildings, the whole street is just this boring, gray landscape. It looks like that.
I'm Astrid.
Hi, Astrid.
And your shoes.
These are very comfortable.
So everybody, instead of being like really cool monsters, are just a bunch of boring humans, including Luke. You remember Luke from the first movie? He's like everybody's favorite, I guess. I did a little bit of research on this earlier today and found a interesting amount of Luke fan fiction. I mean, you do you. No, not judging, but I didn't need to know it existed.
Luke? But you look just like you did when Kalabar put that spell on you.
And so Luke looks human instead of being in his normal goblin form, so they definitely know something's up with everybody.
This is the caricature of humans in Halloweentown.
So somebody is turning everybody into not just humans, but stereotypical humans. There's this whole running backstory about how the people in Halloweentown are very upset by all of the, various stereotypes of the different kinds of monsters, which honestly, fair,
Humans aren't this boring.
No.
But I guess the stereotype of a human in Halloweentown is just, like, very boring. Like, these depressed, personality-less life forms. I should be offended.
Undoing spells isn't that hard, right? You just say them backwards.
It was a spell, and it was similar to this.
So they realize that the grandmother has the spell that she needs to reverse this spell in her spell book. You can see where this is going. They try to call Dylan back in the mortal world with the creepy headphones.
Grandma, I'm busy.
Just do it, Dylan. Or I'll spam your diary all over the net.
Ooh, that's harsh.
You don't know my password.
Wanna bet? Iron Man?
That's your password, dude? Come on, Dylan.
Just open the door.
See, I don't understand this either because he has to have Sophie open the door because apparently only the girls know how to do it. But we learned in the first movie that he also has magic. Not as developed as the other ones, but he also is magical. But anyway, they get into the grandma's room. They realize the book is missing.
Did any of you go to my room since I came down to the party?
Marnie has a lot of explaining to do.
For a few minutes.
What, did someone go in with you?
Good job, Marnie.
Going to go back and have a talk with Marnie's new friend.
So they try to go back to the human world by summoning the portal again, and this time, even together, they can't get it open.
It was a trap.
Very good, Aggie. Over here.
Oh my god.
You cast this spell on Halloweentown?
Just the way it was written in Aggie's little spell book.
Very weird, Cal.
But then you'd have to be
A warlock? Sweet, huh?
I'm sorry, dude, I can't take you seriously.
It was just to get the book.
See, I wanted you to show it to me because you felt something between us.
So he didn't even need to steal the book? He just went through all of that just to mess with her? That's cold, dude.
You're Kalabar's son.
And here's another plot twist. He's Kalabar's son. Kalabar was the bad guy from the first movie. It's funny, too, because this movie is called Kalabar's Revenge. But Kalabar himself does not show up at any point in the movie. Very strange.
I should have known when he gave me the rose.
Well, no, actually, because, you know, roses are a pretty common thing. I don't think it was a dead giveaway. Do you think he just couldn't figure out like how to do the spell in such a way that his hair also showed up on the brick wall? He looks kind of like Mr. Clean.
I guess I inherited my father's attraction to Cromwell witches.
Cal is a very bored bad guy, isn't he?
And why'd you let the mortals take charge of the earth? While we had to hide like rats in another dimension.
Cal's like, I'm gonna take over the human realm. And they're like, well, that's not good.
Find a way to break this accursed spell.
I thought she was gonna say cursed curse for some reason. That would have been strange. Anyway, not important.
Benny?
Need a ride?
Aww. Even the skeleton that drives the taxi is like human now. I mean, he's still very nice, but I like the skeleton man.
You were just skin and bones. Except for the skin.
What an odd way to say that. Poor guy looks horrified. So Aggie, Marnie, and Luke all go into Aggie's house, which is boring now. It looks like the interior decorating of Modern Family.
I like what you've done with the place.
And Aggie explains that the book that was stolen, there's a second one. She just hasn't used it in a long time. She doesn't know where it is.
There are two.
Well, then let's look for it.
So there's this little kind of montage scene where they're looking for the book all around the house. And it goes on for way too long. And also they speed up their voices to make them sound like chipmunks. I don't know why that was necessary. But anyway.
Maybe it's in here. No, it's in here.
And then somehow, randomly, I don't know how, Luke gets changed back into a goblin.
I haven't seen that other spell book for decades. Perhaps it's lost.
The book is lost. And you know what happens to lost things. They end up in Gordy's house. I told you that would be important later, and now it's later.
You know, if she keeps this up, you kids are never going to grow up to be normal people.
Grandma says being normal is vastly overrated.
Very true. So the mom really doesn't believe Dylan and Sophie when they tell her about what's going on in Halloweentown.
Now, Cal seems like a very sweet and charming young man, and his father seems like...
And because Dylan could never find a date to the dance, but the mom has a date with Sherbert Dad, who is now dressed up like a frog. Apparently he's got a frog motif going for himself. Good for him. Dylan volunteers to stay home and babysit so that the mom can go on her date.
No, you've been looking forward to this for weeks.
Let's face it, Mom, I'm just not that into Halloween.
Oh, and he gives her this really creepy mask to wear. I do not care for the mask. Back in Halloweentown, the trio get to Gordy's house to look for the stolen book. Or the lost book. The stolen book is just long gone.
We were looking for a book.
I'm busy, you see, sorting my signs.
I love Gordy.
Gort, these can't be all the books you've got.
I sold the rest at the yard sale.
Oh no, we sold all this crap at a yard sale?
What's happening?
It's the gray spell.
Before they can do anything else, Aggie starts being turned into a boring gray human.
The door. It won't open.
And then they realize that they're locked into Gordy's house, and Cal shows up in the fireplace like Sirius Black in that one Harry Potter movie. Order of the Phoenix. Order of the Phoenix.
Marty, have you thought any more about going to the party? I mean, everyone's gonna be there. Even your mom.
He vaguely threatens her mom, and then poof, he's gone.
It's a spell that was banned after the dark times.
And now he's gonna turn the humans into creatures.
So yeah, that's a problem. Cal is going to turn everybody at the Halloween party into the creatures that they're dressed up as. So the mom is going to be sporting a very interesting look from now on.
Listen,
Back in the mortal world, Sophie has figured out that Cal's dad isn't his dad. He's just kind of like a golem, which I'm not really up to date on my golem lore, but apparently.
golems are very pleasant creatures, built entirely from mud or other natural elements.
He's just kind of like a made-up puppet that Cal is using as a cover.
He said he saw a frog on the floor just after Cal's dad left. And then later he shows up in a giant frog costume.
I thought it was going to turn out to be his real dad Kalabar in disguise. Alas, that is not true. So they realize they have to go warn the mom. It really is Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire all over again. And so she talks him into going to the costume party.
He'll need a costume.
Kind of an iffy costume choice, a little bit disrespectful, but you know.
Saying a spell backwards can't be the only way to undo it.
So they need to find the book so they can learn how to say the spell backwards so that they can undo the spell, but they don't have the book. This is quite a pickle.
Rules have exceptions, like how hackers get into computer programs.
And then Marnie realizes that she can hack her way out of Cal's spell that's keeping them locked in the house.
What if we tried to go somewhere else other than outside? Time travel.
They get a time travel spell from Aggie.
Do you have a spell for time travel?
Time travel spell.
Yeah.
It's hitting Aggie real hard.
There are no matching socks here.
I have some more.
So Marnie and Luke realize that they're gonna have to leave these two boring sock sorters behind to go and get the book and undo the spell themselves.
Look, we have to get out of here. We can come back for later.
They use the time travel spell, but they only go back a few minutes in time.
It's affecting me now that we're in
This is only 5 minutes ago.
I don't know how the original versions of them don't see this, but anyway. And this is just like The Prisoner of Azkaban. I'd say they're ripping off Harry Potter, but I'm pretty sure this movie came out before either of those Harry Potter movies did. But the books probably existed. Anyway, then they tried again, and there's the classic, whoa, we went way back in time. There's a caveman. Marnie tries a third time, and she gets intercepted by Cal himself.
It's against the Code of Merlin.
Nobody cares about the Code of Merlin anymore, Marnie.
Apparently the Code of Merlin is kind of like the Pirates Code. They're more guidelines than rules. But she's not sticking around to deal with this crap. She tries a fourth and final time and finally gets back to Gordy's house a few years prior. So before the spell has been cast, it's now a garbage dump all over again. I love this rock and roll entrance that Gordy gets.
Now get out!
So Gordy wants to kick them out because he doesn't like them.
It was nice seeing your place while it was still messy.
But then Marnie brings up the fact that if they don't fix the spell, his house will be neat. And we can't have that, Lord knows. Meanwhile, these two are about to die on a broomstick.
I keep all my scabs under the porch.
Ugh, that's gonna give me nightmares. Moving on.
Okay.
Oh, good lord. I can't tell if this is horrifying or adorable. Okay, it has a dog collar. That's kind of cute.
Is this book you're looking for leather? Kalabar bought it from me about 50 years ago.
And then Gordy's like, oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I sold that book that we've been looking for the past hour to that evil guy that wants to take over the world. The other two are at the Halloween party.
Where are you supposed to be? El Geeko?
Oh, that's so rude on a number of levels. And Dylan, who's in this sort of iffy costume, hands off his hat because he's embarrassed to the person who might have arguably an even more iffy costume. Oh dear. May I suggest going as 3-Hole Punch Jim next year? So they get the mom and they're like, hey, your date is a bunch of frogs in a trench coat. No, really.
I think he's a golem, made of frogs.
Out of options, Luke and Marnie are trying to figure out how she reversed the spell on Luke, because clearly she did something, because he's not gray.
Wait, here.
So they're trying to remember what she said, and apparently when she said
Trap-a.
And then continued on, that counted as saying trappa, which is apart backwards.
Something to get us out of this trap. A spell. Or...
And apparently that is the spell.
Apart.
So trappa undoes the spell.
Trappa?
A little anticlimactic, but you know what? Good for them.
Apart.
Poor Gordy, give him a break.
Where's the time travel spell?
But now there's another problem. She lost the time travel spell. She set it down in all of this mess, and she lost it. Marnie, you're supposed to be the family witch. Sophie would never.
But things that are lost here go poof.
So that implies that all the other random junk that's just thrown around everywhere is not lost. So he does know where everything is. So if he had the book, he should have known, and they wouldn't have had to go digging through all that crap.
I brought you guys some cookies.
So since the mom doesn't believe the kids when they're like, hey, your date is 10 frogs in a trench coat. Not here. Sophie bribes him with a fly. Dear God, it's like that episode of Everybody Loves Raymond where the girlfriend eats flies.
He was so perfect.
The poor mom's like, man, I hate it when my boyfriend turns out to be a bunch of frogs. She finally believes that there's something wrong, but now it's too late to get in touch with Marnie because Marnie's stuck in the past with Luke. You following this? Okay. Marnie, who is stuck in the past with Luke, is trying to remember the spell, and it's not going well. She's got that gnome spell down pat, though.
Why don't we just use my timeline?
So Gordy's just like, okay, whatever. Here, I have this black hole in a cupboard. See, you can go back to the future in that. So Marnie pulls her very swanky broomstick out of her pocket, inflates it up to life size, and is like, hop on. It's even got a cushy seat. She's not playing around. God, that just genuinely looks like so much fun.
I'm gonna wear my mask. He knows me.
Oh no, so the mom puts the mask on to try to be all stealthy-like, which is bad, because it means that she's gonna get turned into a monster. Cal's just up in the rafters, about to read a spell off.
Everyone, count down with me. Here we go. 60, 59.
Find him.
They start the countdown from 60. You can't just start it from 10.
56.
That is way too long of a countdown. Like, imagine being at a New Year's Eve party and they're like, okay guys, we're gonna count down the last 4,000 seconds of the year. Luke and Marnie are racing back as fast as they can.
Trappa!
They get back to the present and undo the spell on Aggie.
Oh, we have to go back to the mortal world.
But the portal's closing, so it's too late. The timer hits 0 and everybody's turned into a monster. Oh, the poor mom looks like a prototype of Jim Carrey's Grinch, doesn't she?
I'm really thirsty.
As a Capricorn, let me just say, Dylan gives off big Capricorn energy.
Just wait. For a year of mortal time? It's gonna feel like a century here.
Marnie's having a little bit of a breakdown. It's pretty understandable.
Sophie, listen to me. We're gonna open the portal.
So Marnie's just like, screw the rules set up by this universe in this film franchise. I'm gonna open up the portal if I say I'm gonna open up the portal. So she calls Sophie, and she has the whole family on either side of the portal, like, start chanting together. We get this shot that hurts my eyes, and then they open up the portal. And Cal's like, what the hell? That's not supposed to happen.
We did it! Your only power was the power to keep us apart, Cal.
So then Luke starts holding on to the 2 spell books with his creepy dark arts magic, and Marnie with her glowing magic that looks like Rapunzel's magic from Tangled just like grabs the books from him. It's like, aha. And then he just kind of gets yoinked out of existence. I don't really understand why, but he deserves it. They reverse the spell, and all the humans there just kind of shrug it off like, huh, that was weird how we were all monsters for a minute. Anyway.
Let's have a big hand for the best Halloween party ever, huh?
And so now that she has figured out how to game the system and open up the portal whenever she wants, she doesn't have to choose anymore. She can just go back and forth between Halloweentown and the human world. I would personally want to spend all of my time in Halloweentown, but that's just me.
We better go back to Halloweentown and get rid of the gray spell.
You coming?
Oh, I don't think so, Mom.
And I love that the mom doesn't even want to go back for a visit. Because, like, in the first movie, it was like, I don't want to live here. I've got a life back home. But now, like, she can literally go whenever she wants. And she's like, hey, sweetie, you gonna come and visit me? And she's like, no, Mom. Literally, I'm never going to go and visit you back home.
I guess the kids can come and visit you anytime they want now that they've figured out their way around the rules.
But the kids go back with Aggie and they undo the spell.
Trappa.
See, Dylan is powerful. He just doesn't use his powers. He's like too cool for them, I guess. So everything is fixed.
So this worldwide web I've heard about, does it involve spiders?
Oh, grandparents with the internet are adorable, aren't they? And yeah, that's the end of the movie. I believe there's 2 more Halloweentown movies in the franchise. Those will have to be future videos, but let me know what you think about this movie. Let me know if you liked this video, what your personal memories of these movies are. I know a lot of people really liked the original Halloweentown. But yeah, I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. Everything you do to support this channel means the world to me. If you're new here and you're a fan of nonsense, maybe consider sticking around because I post nonsense all the time. And remember, my name is Avery. I'm a YouTuber if you say so because thanks to you guys, this is technically a YouTube channel. Bye!